Hello, I'm Guido Grinbaum, and now I will begin module number 22 of the Microcredentials course. One of the most common mistakes universities make when implementing microcredentials is thinking that the work ends when the first batches are issued. The reality is that that's exactly when the important part begins. Issuing credentials is not the end, it's the beginning of an institutional learning process. And the only way to know if that process is really working is by measuring its impact. Measuring impact does not mean controlling. Measuring impact means understanding, learning, and improving. What isn't measured doesn't exist on the university's strategic agenda, and what is measured becomes institutional policy. That's why, if we want microcredentials to stop being a trend and become part of the educational structure, we have to start measuring. And what is it that we need to measure? It's not enough to just count how many badges have been issued. We need to look deeper. Measuring the impact of microcredentials involves looking at four main dimensions: institutional adoption, student and faculty participation, the value perceived by employers, and digital visibility and reach. And these four dimensions give us a complete view of the ecosystem. Let's start with the first one: institutional adoption. How many faculties, departments, or university programs are already actively using microcredentials? When a program starts in just one faculty, it's common for there to be initial enthusiasm, but real growth happens when the model becomes institutionalized. That's why one of the most powerful indicators is seeing how the number of academic units issuing microcredentials multiplies. The second dimension is student and faculty participation. How many students are earning credentials? How many faculty members are willing to integrate them into their courses? If professors don't understand the value and students don't share them, the model only gets halfway there. We need to measure real adoption, not just technical issuance. The third dimension is the value perceived by employers. This is key. If the credentials are not recognized in the workplace, they lose an essential part of their purpose. That's why many advanced universities already include questions about microcredentials in their graduate and employer surveys. Questions like, do employers value these credentials? Do they consider them in their hiring processes? Do they believe they provide real evidence of skills? When the answers are positive, we have a very clear sign of impact. And the fourth dimension, digital visibility and reach. Every time a student shares a badge on LinkedIn, they're not only showcasing their personal achievement, they're also amplifying the university's reputation. According to studies, more than 80% of users who receive a digital credential share it publicly, generating between 1,000 and 5,000 organic views. This means that an institution issuing 1,000 badges a year can reach over 3 million views of its academic brand. 3 million without paying for advertising. To measure all these dimensions, we need concrete indicators, the so-called KPIs, key performance indicators. Some examples: total number of credentials issued, percentage of participating faculties, percentage of students who share their badges, public verification rate, level of faculty satisfaction, impact on employability, and digital reputation. These indicators are simple, measurable, and scalable. And there's something else: the value of comparison. A good practice is to measure year by year and compare. How many credentials were issued in the first year? How many in the second? How much did adoption grow? When an institution sees its progress in graphs, it starts making decisions based on data, not intuition. Numbers speak, and when the data is good, it legitimizes innovation. How do we collect this data? We can use several sources. The issuing platform, for example, in some cases collects this data, though not always. The institutional LMS. Surveys of students and teachers, LinkedIn and social networks, public verification data. Ideally, all this information should be integrated into an institutional dashboard, a simple visual panel that is easy to update. The dashboard should show not only how many credentials were issued, but also how many were shared, how many were verified, and how those actions impacted academic reputation. Imagine a screen where you can see in real time that a student has just shared their credential on LinkedIn, and that post already has 300 views. That is living evidence of your program's impact. Measuring also means looking at academic outcomes. Are students more motivated when they receive intermediate micro-credentials? One EdTech students show that they are. Courses that award intermediate badges increase completion rates by 15 to 25%. When recognition comes before the degree, students feel valued, supported, and motivated. And that directly impacts retention. We also need to measure the impact on employment. How many graduates add their badges to LinkedIn? How many include them in their own CVs? How many get a job opportunity thanks to them? A study from 2025 shows that 73% of employers value verifiable credentials in their selection processes, and 47% prioritize candidates who already include them. This data not only validates the model, but also establishes it as a real tool for employability. Institutional reputation can also be measured. Each shared credential represents a success story. We can analyze the organic reach of posts, mentions of the university, and the traffic generated on the institutional website. When results are shared internally, academic teams feel part of the impact. That strengthens institutional culture and faculty pride. Ultimately, measuring is not about accumulating data, but about interpreting it. The university should be guided by the following questions. 3 key questions. Are we reaching more students? Are we improving the recognition of skills? Are we strengthening our academic and social reputation? The answers to these questions guide strategic decisions. Should we invest more, adjust the program, or expand partnerships? To conclude, I want you to remember this idea. Issuing badges is innovating, measuring them is institutionalizing innovation. Microcredentials are the tangible evidence of learning, but data is the tangible evidence of their value. If a university wants to transform its educational model, it needs to measure, learn, and constantly improve, because knowledge is intangible, but its impact can and should be measured. Well, I hope you enjoyed this module a lot, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you very much.